Imagine the scene, a young couple, full of dreams, building a future together, sparing every penny with dedication. Until, in a single moment, everything collapses. The savings of marriage, the result of months of sacrifice, disappears without explanation. And when the author of this theft still declares with arrogance, "I'm his mother, and you? Just a passenger in his life." At this point, it is clear that this is not just a theft, but a statement of war. While her husband, paralyzed by indecision, remains silent, with no courage to defend his own wife. Good afternoon, dear listeners. I am Andre Branco, and it is with great satisfaction that I receive them here on the Entrelated Almas channel. Today I bring a story that will mess with your emotions and make you reflect on limits, respect, and the true meaning of family. Follow with me. Lillian has always considered herself a patient woman. In 2 years of marriage to Maximo, he learned to swallow frogs. The mother-in-law, Joanna Vladimirovna, entered her house as if she was owner, using her own key without even hitting. He rearranged the furniture as he tastes, criticized every dish that her daughter-in-law was preparing and, worse, spread to the neighbors that Lillian was an incompetent housewife. Even so, the young woman bit her tongue and went on. But all patience has a limit. And this limit was brutally surpassed. It all started 6 months ago, when the couple decided to raise money to buy a car. Lillian worked as a receptionist at a dental and Maximum clinic as a manager in a construction company. Together they earned about 10,000 reais a month. Discounted the portions of their own home, the accounts, and the supermarket, there were about 3,000 to keep. They spared with discipline, depositing from 1,500 reais every month. Lillian even bought a beautiful ceramic pig, which he prominent in the room. There were economies, work bonuses, Christmas gifts, any extra income. By January, 12,000 reais had already gathered. There is little left for the entrance of the used car they wanted so much. Joanna Vladimirovna knew of the existence of the little pig. More than that, I was asking how much they had already kept, always finding a reason to belittle the couple's plans. Car? For what? Better invest in a place. Or, this model is no good, they should buy a national. He even suggested, with the air of superiority, to deliver the money to her to apply to the bank and yield interest. But no one would imagine what would come next. That fateful Tuesday, Lillian arrived earlier from work. A hydraulic problem at the clinic had released the team before time. As he opened the apartment door, he heard his mother-in-law's unmistakable voice from the room. The woman murmured something with herself, clearly involved in some activity. Lillian advanced in silence by the hallway, and by spying through the door, he had the vision that froze his blood. Joanna Vladimirovna on her back, methodically emptied the little pig inside a large bag. Notes mingled with the dial of the coins. It was not the first time I had done that. The accuracy of the movements denounced. "What are you doing?" Lillian's voice shook with indignation. The mother-in-law turned without any embarrassment, as if just organizing her own things in her own home. Are you? Arrived early today. I'm taking the money. The Maximum will need. What money? This money is ours. Lillian advanced to the room, feeling the rage boil inside. It's ours, the result of our work. Joanna Vladimirovna gave a wry smile and continued to separate the notes. Maximo is my son, so this money is also mine. And you, what is it? The tone was of pure disdain, as if the word wife were an insult. Today you are a wife, tomorrow can be ex-son is forever. Something snapped into Lillian's mind. In 2 years, she had swallowed offenses, humiliations, intrusions. But that Anna was awesome, the mother-in-law stealing blatantly and still being right. Put the money back. Now. She approached, determined. I'm his mother, and you? Only a temporary lining, said Joanna Vladimirovna, joining the last notes. 12,000 reais. The Maximum needs for a business. He himself asked me. The words hurt like a slap. Temporary lining. After 2 years of marriage, attempts to build a relationship, to silence before each disrespect, that was the verdict. The mother-in-law didn't even bother to hide the contempt. You're lying. Maximum never asked us for money for any business. Never. Joanna Vladimirovna closed the bag with a firm gesture and stared at her daughter-in-law. And how do you know what we have talked about? Do you think he tells you everything? Safety in her voice made Lillian hesitate for a second. Was it true? Has the Maximum, in fact, had asked the mother to take the money, but did not have the courage to tell her wife? No. She knew her husband. He could be undecided, soft, but not so cowardly. Where is the Maximum? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. At work, of course. Unlike some, he makes real money. Arrives home only at 3 in the afternoon. Today there was a problem with the clinic, released earlier, Lillian justified, and soon regretted it. Why was you explaining to that woman? It is clear. Problem in the clinic, mocking Joanna Vladimirovna. I was sure to have some coffee with friends. Now you make excuses. Lillian wasted no time. He took the cell phone and called her husband. The touches dragged on until finally Maximum answered. His voice sounded tired, guilty. Lillian. Did something happen? Your mother is here at home. It is taking all our savings money. Says you asked. A heavy silence dominated the call. Lillian heard her husband's panting breathing on the other side. Well, is that the mother called, spoke of an opportunity. A small business to start. Are you serious? Lily's voice failed. Did you give her our money without consulting me? I didn't give it, just. I didn't prohibit it. She said the money was still. Better invest. What business? What investment? A friend of hers, Tamara Ivanova, will open a beauty salon. Need members. Lillian closed his eyes. Tamara Ivanova, the mother-in-law's neighbor, was known for her dubious business. Over the past 5 years, he had tried to sell magic pots, miraculous courses, and even joined in financial pyramids. All enterprises ended the same way, with grandiose promises and missing money. Maximum, come home now, Lillian ordered, turning off before he could answer. Joanna Vladimirovna watched everything with a satisfactory smile. The bag with the money was at his feet, with no attempt to hide. When the daughter-in-law finished the call, the mother-in-law attacked with irony. So, did you talk to her husband? Now you understand who rules in this family. I understand, Lillian answered, low and firm. I understand that you deceived your own son and stole our money. Did I steal? Joanna Vladimirovna lifted her eyebrows, offended. I'm the mother. I have more rights over him than you. What do you know about money, investments? In his early 20s, sitting there counting teeth in his clinic. Something within Lily has transformed. As if years of humiliation, invasions, disrespect had finally found an escape valve. 2 years erasing fires, trying to please, seeking a minimum of respect. And there was the result, a blatant theft and a boundless contempt. Return the money, she said slowly and clearly. I don't return, said the mother-in-law, with the same calm. But because I deserve something much better than this family farce. Lillian's eyes burned with a coldness that she herself did not recognize. Each word came out measured. A sharp blade after years of silent sharpening. You won, Jeanette. The name sounded like a knife stuck on the table, intentionally wrong, stripping it from the title it valued so much. But not the way I imagine. Because when I go out on this door, it will not be like the fragile thing that you so despise so much. I will be the woman who finally understood, a home is not built on foundations of disrespect. Lillian's hand squeezed the Malon strap hard enough for the fingers to be white. She wouldn't look back. He would not give Jeanette the satisfaction of seeing a tear, a tremor, a hesitation. Max, he said, without turning, his voice echoing in the hallway like a verdict. You have my number. And it's exactly 7 days to decide if you want a wife or a mother. Why the two things together in this format? A dry laugh, almost a contained sob. It doesn't exist. The door knocked with a snap that reverberated around the house like a starting shot. Outside, the night air was fresh, almost cruel in its contrast with the suffocating heat of that discussion. Lillian took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the bad guy like an anchor, not something that pulled her down, but something that prevented her from flying. She wouldn't look back. Not this time. What propelled her was not the title of ex-wife. she had carried as an invisible scar for years. It was the certainty that if it remained, it would not even be the shadow of the dignity that one day believed to have. And when the mother-in-law released that freezing laugh, as if the idea of a divorced woman was proud was the most absurd joke of the century, Lillian felt something break inside her. Not of pain, but of sharp clarity. Never again. A week, he said, without turning around to face him. The voice did not train. Call me when you decide which side you are on. The days that followed were a mist of exhaustion and silent anger. Svetlana's sofa, her longtime friend, crank under her weight every night as she pretended to sleep, rolling every word, every humiliation swallowed as normal. Normal that a almost 50-year-old woman treats her daughter-in-law like an ungrateful little servant. Normal that her husband, a grown man, bent every maternal whim like a scared boy. Normal that she, Lillian, who paid half of the bills, who organized the house, who loved that man despite everything, was the only one carrying the weight of being too much, too demanding, too sensitive, too much. Maxim called. Always. Every morning, every night. His voice, once firm and safe, now sounded like a straight thread to the limit. Lil, back. Let's talk. I promise. But promises, she already knew, were like the air conditioner of Jeanette Vladimirovna's room, on only when convenient, turned off as soon as the discomfort passed. What exactly are you going to say to her? Asked Lillian, and the silence across the line was enough response. I can't just cut her from my life, he finally admitted, like a valid excuse. She's my mother. No one is asking to cut. I am asking to exist. So that, for the first time, you choose me. And then, on the fourth day, the phone rang with the mother-in-law number. Jeanette's voice was a triumph disguised as a concern. "Nu. Maxim is a rag. Do not eat, do not sleep, Mrs. Work. Are you happy now?" Lillian closed his eyes, feeling the weight of irony. The same woman who called her selfish for wanting respect now begged for her return, not for the sake of her son, but for fear of losing him. It gives time to time, Jeanette. Maybe he finally understands what you do. What do I do? The mother-in-law's voice went up, acute. I created him. 2 years holding you up, and I still have to hear that. 2 years. Lillian laughed, a dry sound. I can hold her since the first month of marriage. The next insult you. You won't find another man, it will end up alone. She didn't even hear it well. He hung up before the anger made her say something she would regret. Not by Jeanette, but for herself. On the 7th day, Maxim appeared at the Svetlana door with deep dark circles and a beard to do. It seemed to have aged a decade. I accepted, he said, without preambles. I spoke to her. Lillian crossed his arms, waiting. It would not make it easier. And she will apologize. And he hesitated. The 80,000. It returns. In installments. In installments. Lillian arched an eyebrow. Like a financing. That's what she can. It's not about money, Maxim. She sighed. It's about you to understand that the next time she crosses the line, there will be no next time. He nodded, and for the first time in years, Lily saw something in his eyes that was not fear or indecision. It was a spark of something that could be courage. Okay, he said finally. Let's try. But they both knew, it was not a fresh start. It was a truce. And truce, like wars, have a price. And most importantly, they remained a family. Jeanette, of course, never returned the money completely. Tamara, as everyone predicted, disappeared with the beauty salon and investments, but Lily no longer required reparation. Those 120,000 rubles had a value that no check could cover, were the price of the lesson each one learned. She, that rights do not gain on their knees, but standing, with a firm voice and hands ready to act. Maxim, that a wife is not a trophy to be played, but a partner who has chosen him, not the shadow of his mother. And Jeanette, that a child is not an extension of himself, but a man with his own will, capable of tracing his own limits. When, years later, Angelica was born, with her father's clear eyes and her mother's stubbornness, the mother-in-law already knew the rules of the game. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Not by submission, but by understanding. And Lillian, holding her daughter in her arms for the first time, knew she was right from the beginning. Sometimes you need to show your teeth to be respected. And that doesn't make you a bad person. Make you someone strong. Someone who does not confuse kindness in weakness, nor love with permissiveness. Because true love, what it builds, what protects, does not bow. He resists. And it was this resistance that saved not only his marriage, but the future that now smile at her, wrapped in a light blue blanket.